You know, if there's one common theme that's happening right now, it's that the left has a need to point fingers anywhere else but themselves when it comes to their failures, especially when it comes to their failures on the coronavirus. Now, over the past few videos, and one of them appearing in the top right now, I have been trying to convey how Florida has been one of the biggest targets for the left right now in terms of, failures for vaccine rollout, coronavirus infection rates. And it's just not true. None of it's true. Every bit of it is demonstrably false. Why? Why do they need to continue to hit Florida? Why do they need to continue to try to defame Ron DeSantis and make him seem like he's some sort of irresponsible and corrupt governor? Why do they need Florida to look bad? It's because if Florida is right, then the left is wrong. The left, including the Democrats, every single Democrat governor, the media that has been carrying their narrative water for ages now, they're wrong if Ron DeSantis is right. And every single day, we see more and more info proving that Ron DeSantis and his choices are just right. And here's another one right here. Detroit news. Michigan surpasses 700,000 cases of COVID-19. We're going to dive into this because it shows you how bad Michigan has gotten, despite the fact that its governor, Gretchen Whitmer, who is one of the most, I want to say, egregious lockdown implementers. I have no idea how else to put that. Has been one of the worst. Her lockdown measures have been draconian. And yet, here they are. Michigan surpassed 700,000 cases of the coronavirus Monday as the state continues to lead the nation in new cases by population. Michigan added 10,293 new cases and 21 deaths on Monday, including cases from Sunday. The latest figures bring the state's total number of cases to 702,499 and deaths to 16,239 since the virus was first detected in March 2020, according to the State Department of Health and Human Services. Hospitalizations for confirmed cases of COVID-19 are now increasing at a faster rate than before Governor Gretchen Whitmer shuttered indoor dining and suspended in-person high school classes in the fall. So despite the fact that she has implemented these draconian lockdown measures, cases are going up. They keep skyrocketing. The state is leading at 452.5 cases per 100,000 people, surpassing New Jersey at 351.9 cases per 100,000 people, and New York City at 325.8 cases per 100,000 people, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. So, we have a state that was supposed to be doing everything right. We had a Democrat governor that was locking the state down so tightly that you couldn't even garden in your own home. It was that bad. You couldn't go from one of your properties to another property that you own within the state. That's how bad the draconian lockdown measures were. And yet, despite all of this, Michigan continues to have a infection rate and a death rate that is skyrocketing past all the others. All the others. Now, earlier in this video, when I first started, I mentioned how everyone was trying to make Florida seem like it was the bad guy in the situation, that Ron DeSantis and his approach to the lockdowns were dangerous and irresponsible. That's how they wanted to paint it. As you know, Ron DeSantis is making the lockdowns very, 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 very light. He always has made it very, very, very light, to the point of almost being non-existent. His approach to rolling out the vaccine was very common sense. You had first, he took care of the frontline workers, healthcare workers, and then elderly people. And as you know, Florida is a location with a large elderly population. So naturally, they would want to vaccinate these people, especially since we now know one of the first things we ever found out about the coronavirus was that it affects elderly people the most. So he got the vaccine to elderly people second, after the healthcare workers. It was a move that recently was basically panned by 60 Minutes in such a way that it was bizarre. 60 Minutes tried to make Ron DeSantis look like a supervillain who not only was going against the science by trying to vaccinate elderly people sooner, but also that he was corrupt in the way that he was allowing Publix, a store that had given him campaign donations, ability to help roll out the vaccine along with other entities within the state. Really, the truth is that Publix was already set up to distribute the vaccine. They were ready to do it. They had the means and the resources to do so, and so they volunteered to help. For some odd reason, 60 Minutes tried to make Ron DeSantis look like a corrupt person for allowing them to help roll out the vaccine and help Americans. That video appearing in the top right now, it's gotten really bad for 60 Minutes to the point where even Democrats are launching against them. But it doesn't stop there now. The need to make Florida look so bad has extended to Gretchen Whitmer, who is obviously not doing well when it comes to the coronavirus numbers. But now, this is up at redstate.com right now. Gretchen Whitmer's state is overrun with COVID-19 surge. Guess who she's blaming? I'll give you one guess. But it's who Whitmer is trying to blame that is raising the most eyebrows for all the numbers that I just showed you in the previous article. Apparently, this is all Ron DeSantis' fault because Florida had spring break and doesn't have a mask mandate. For context, the border of Michigan stands about 1,200 miles away from Florida's nearest boundary. This per Florida Politics. Florida and Michigan have reported the highest and second highest numbers of cases of a more contagious variant that was first identified in the UK. Michigan had the United States' worst infection rates in the past 2 weeks. Yes, I am concerned about the travel between the states, the governor told reporters while attending the opening of a large-scale vaccination site in Oakland County. It's a concern no matter what. That's why we are really encouraging people to get vaccinated. She urged people returning from Florida to work from home and have their kids learn virtually for at least a week. She and health officials later recommended that people get tested after in-state, out-of-state, or international travel. Now, I want to bring this to your attention, and the article does as well. Notice the obsession with variants. That's actually completely irrelevant when comparing Michigan to Florida. Michigan isn't just seeing a surge in a certain variant, and to be clear, the current vaccines protect against B117. B117 being the UK variant. The vaccinations that we are currently having rolled out and distributed amongst the populace in the United States don't just protect against the original variant of COVID-19, it actually protects against all the variants. So them saying, well, we're being infected by all these other variants, all these other things are coming together to make Michigan far more infected than any other state is a complete nonsense distraction. It's nonsensical distraction. Rather, Michigan is seeing a surge in total COVID infections, period. In fact, they lead the nation in that category right now. Meanwhile, Florida is holding relatively steady in infections and hospitalizations, despite never having a mask mandate and not having any lockdown measures in effect for the vast majority of the pandemic. In other words, the focus on travel between states and, quote, variants is a red herring. It's a, hey, look, a squirrel distraction technique to obfuscate from the fact that Whitmer has done a terrible job managing the pandemic, and she has. She has done a horrible, horrible job, as have many other blue state governors that the media has been celebrating, including New York's Andrew Cuomo, who, I'll still remind you, is responsible for the death of 15,000 elderly New Yorkers. And you'll notice that we're not getting a lot of talk about that. We sure are getting a lot of talk about, all the women coming forward and talking about how he sexually harassed them, but really nothing about the death count. You also have not a lot of talk about California's Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, who completely destroyed his economy with his draconian lockdowns, while caught not really obeying his own orders. Not a lot of talk about that kind of stuff. But you are seeing the mainstream media go after Ron DeSantis almost constantly and nonstop. It's because Ron DeSantis is proving to be correct. And again, and I'm going to say this until I am blue in the face, if Ron DeSantis is correct, then everyone else who was against him, all the Democrats, all the media, all the activists, all these so-called scientists and doctors are wrong. If Ron DeSantis is correct, then the narrative falls apart. And you have even Democrats now coming out and defending Ron DeSantis against the attacks made by entities like 60 Minutes, talking about how everything that Ron DeSantis has been doing has been correct. Again, folks, if we are in an atmosphere where we are being fed misinformation constantly by Democrats and the mainstream media, then they are not on your side. They are constantly lying to you. We now have proof positive that Ron DeSantis and his approach to opening the state up, his approach to rolling out the vaccine actually helps Americans, actually keeps them alive, keeps them from getting sick. And the left cannot stand that. The fact that the left cannot stand that is disgusting in and of itself. You have a left that would rather you not know that Ron DeSantis is succeeding, because if they can continue to push the narrative that we're not out of the woods, which we are very much approaching the edge of the tree line right now with these vaccine rollouts, they can continue to push the idea on you that we need more lockdowns. We need to continue to be able to push measures that would keep you under control. We could push vaccine passports. It's scary to think about. It's scary to think that there are people out there who want to use lies effectively to keep you under control, to keep you glued to not just your TV screen, but to their every word. And that their every word is doom and gloom and makes you scared to go out, and it makes you obedient. The real world is not that way. In real life, in reality, right now, Ron DeSantis is basically doing everything that is right. Especially, he is doing everything that is especially American, making us free to do whatever it is what we need to do, helping us to live our lives as we normally would. So do not believe Gretchen Whitmer and her blaming of Florida for her increase in coronavirus cases and deaths. That's not Florida's fault. That is Gretchen Whitmer's fault. Gretchen Whitmer, who, just like Andrew Cuomo, also had a very bad policy when it came to nursing homes that led to a lot of deaths. So they are wrong. Ron DeSantis is still correct. I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or learned anything, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so you're made aware when we upload new content. See you in the next video.